For a long time, I thought the goal of treating Lyme disease was to kill the bacteria. I mean, that seems obvious, right? You have an infection, you kill the infection, you get better. That's how I thought about it for years, and that's how most of the treatments I tried approached it. The Buhner protocol, antimicrobials designed to attack the spirochetes, the antibiotics, the ozone, everything was aimed at killing the thing that was making me sick. And none of it was fundamentally working. I told this story in detail in another video, the hundreds of things I tried, the years of protocols, and that my trajectory never really changed. But what I want to talk about here is something different. I want to talk about the moment I started understanding Lyme and the co-infections and what they were actually doing inside my body. Because once I saw that, everything changed in my approach. And honestly, everything started making sense. The exhaustion, the brain fog, the crashes, the circulation problems, anxiety, the thing that didn't feel like my body had any power left in it. All that suddenly had an explanation. So let me walk you through what I learned, because I think it might change how you think about it too. I was reading Stephen Buhner's work, and if you've been in the Lyme community for any length of time, you know his books. He's amazing. And Buhner is one of the first people who made me realize that Lyme is not just an infection sitting passively in your body waiting to be killed. It's very strategic. I mean, these organisms actively manipulate the environment inside your body to make it more favorable for them. They're not random. They're not stupid. They change the terrain around them to help themselves survive. Get that. And the single biggest thing they create is inflammation and low oxygen. That's when something clicked for me. I started to think about it almost like real estate. You see, Lyme is an anaerobic organism. It thrives in low oxygen, inflamed tissue. So when the tissue becomes damaged, inflamed, poorly circulated, and oxygen starved, which is what doctors call hypoxia, that becomes prime real estate for Lyme. And then Lyme creates more inflammation in that tissue, which creates more damage, which creates more low oxygen environments, which creates more territory for it to spread into. It's building its own neighborhoods, expanding its own territory inside your body. And every new pocket of inflamed, oxygen-starved tissue is another plot of land it can claim. When I started seeing it that way, I realized something uncomfortable. Every time I was focused on killing the bacteria, I was ignoring the fact that they were actively expanding territory where they could live. I was trying to hunt them while they were building new cities faster than I could kill them. Now, Bartonella, and I had Bartonella, and I actually think it caused more of my symptoms than the Lyme itself. Bartonella takes this real estate strategy even further, and this is where it gets really sinister. Bartonella specifically attacks the endothelial cells that lie in the inside of your blood vessel. Now, think of endothelial cells like gatekeepers. When Bartonella damages those cells, your circulation becomes completely dysfunctional. Oxygen delivery becomes dysfunctional, and then inflammation increases. But here's the part that blew my mind when I first read about it. Bartonella actually hijacks a process called angiogenesis, the process where your body grows new blood vessels. Normally, your body grows new blood vessels when tissue is oxygen starved. It senses, hey, we need more oxygen flow over here, and it releases growth factors to build new vessels. So Bartonella triggers that same process and then infects the new blood vessels it just caused your body to build. So let that sink in for a second. The infection is literally tricking your body into building more real estate, more blood vessels to infect, more territory to claim, more dysfunction to create. So now you've got a cycle, right? You've got damaged blood vessels, poor oxygen delivery, more inflammation, more angiogenesis, more tissues for it to infect, and then more dysfunction because of it. And then it just keeps going. When I understood this, I finally understood why my feet hurt so bad, why the neuropathy was so persistent, why the stiffness in my legs wouldn't respond to anything. Bartonella was attacking the actual infrastructure that delivers oxygen and nutrients to those tissues. Of course, nothing I was taking was getting there to help either. Now, Babesia creates an oxygen problem from a completely different angle. I wasn't personally diagnosed with Babesia, but I had family members who were, and I studied it extensively. Babesia infects the red blood cells. Those are the cells that actually carry oxygen around your body. So now oxygen transport itself is compromised. The delivery trucks are being hijacked. That's why so many people with Babesia describe air hunger, like that feeling you can't get a full breath even when you're standing still, that exhaustion, dizziness, and exercise intolerance. Their oxygen delivery system is under attack from the inside. So think about what's happening when someone has Lyme plus Bartonella plus Babesia. You've got Lyme creating low oxygen territory and expanding into it. You've got Bartonella destroying the blood vessels that deliver oxygen and build new ones to infect those as well. And you've got Babesia attacking the red blood cells that carry oxygen in the first place. Your oxygen system is under siege from 3 different directions simultaneously. No wonder nothing is working. No wonder I felt like my batteries were permanently dead. And here's where the mitochondria come in, because this is the other part, the piece that took me too long to understand. Mitochondria are the engines inside your cells that produce energy. They run on oxygen. They take oxygen and turn it into something called ATP, which is cellular energy. Your body needs an enormous amount of this energy to do anything. I mean, it uses your whole body weight in ATP every single day. Luckily, it recycles it, but it needs oxygen to do this. It needs ATP for everything from tissue repair, detoxifying waste, regulating inflammation, building immune cells, healing blood vessels, supporting the nervous system. All of it runs on energy that your mitochondria produce from oxygen. But when Lyme and the co-infections have destroyed your oxygen delivery, impaired your circulation, and compromised your red blood cells, your mitochondria are starving. They can't produce energy because they don't have the fuel. And this is where I think one of the biggest misunderstandings of chronic illness lives. People talk about boosting the immune system. Doctors prescribe things to stimulate immune function, but the problem often isn't the immune system is weak, it's the immune system is exhausted. Your body doesn't have the energy to power a proper immune response because the mitochondria can't produce it because they don't have enough oxygen. You can stimulate a dead battery all day long. If there's no power going in, nothing is coming out. That realization is what changed everything for me, because it shifted the question from what kills Lyme to what do I do to restore the environment inside my body that Lyme has been systemically destroying? How do I get oxygen back into starved tissue? How do I fix circulation that Bartonella has been wrecking? How do I give my mitochondria the fuel they need to produce energy again? That's what led me to EWOT. Exercise with oxygen therapy. You flood your body with concentrated oxygen while exercising. The exercise increases your circulation, and the high concentrations of oxygen are driven deeper into the tissues than normal breathing ever could do. And here's something I learned that really made the mechanism click for me. Oxygen doesn't just travel in your red blood cells. It also dissolves directly into your blood plasma when you do EWOT. And plasma is roughly 1,000 times thinner than a red blood cell. So even when your circulation is sluggish, even when your blood vessels are inflamed, or when your red blood cells are damaged, or even when your microcirculation is impaired, oxygen-rich plasma can still reach damaged tissue that red blood cells can't get to anymore. That was huge for me because it meant EWOT could reach the places that were most oxygen starved, the exact territory Lyme and Bartonella had been claiming. And when oxygen starts to reach those areas again, things begin to change. Inflammation starts to calm down. Mitochondria start producing energy again. Repair improves. Circulation improves. Detoxification improves. And so does immune function. And here's the part that ties it all together. Remember the real estate analogy? Lyme thrives in a low oxygen inflamed territory. When you start restoring oxygen to those tissues and calming the inflammation, you're not just helping your body heal, you're taking away the train these infections depend on. You're reclaiming territory. Every pocket of tissue that goes from hypoxic to oxygenated is territory they can no longer comfortably occupy. You're making your body inhospitable to the infections, not by attacking them directly, but by changing the environment they need to survive. Now add red light therapy on top of that and the effects get amplified. Red light works directly on the mitochondria. It stimulates them to use more oxygen efficiently and produce more energy. It also improves nitric oxide signaling, which helps the blood vessels relax and dilate, which in turn improves circulation and oxygen delivery even further. So when I did EWOT first, flooding my body with oxygen, and then immediately went to the red light panel, I was delivering the fuel and then supercharging the engines that burn it. One therapy addresses supply, the other addresses utilization. And together they start reversing the exact cycle that Lyme and the co-infections created. Instead of inflammation causing oxygen starvation, causing mitochondrial dysfunction, causing more inflammation, you get oxygen restoration, causing better energy production, causing reduced inflammation, causing better circulation, causing even better oxygen delivery and detoxification. The doom loop, as I call it, starts to run in reverse. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying this cures Lyme disease. I still believe I have Lyme disease, but I don't think these infections simply disappear forever. But what changed for me is that Lyme is no longer in control of my life. I'm probably 98 or 99% better, and I believe a huge part of it came from restoring the environment inside my body. The oxygen, the energy production, the circulation, the capacity to detoxify and repair, and taking away the train these infections had been thriving on inside my body. That's the shift. Stop thinking about killing the infection. Start thinking about reclaiming the territory. Once I started to understand Lyme that way, everything finally made sense and everything started to change. Now check out this next video if you have Lyme disease and feel like nobody gets it. In there, I share my full story, the years of being sick, the doctors who didn't believe me, the diagnoses I didn't believe myself, and the ceremonies of recovery that took over my entire life. It's one of the most real things I've put on camera. And if you want my approach in one simple guide, it's called A Simpler Path to Lyme Recovery. The link is below. Thanks so much. Catch you in the next one.